Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always, Richard Tiemann. This is the award-winning fan show. Thank you all for joining me. It is Wednesday, hump day, and it's going to be another good episode. The special guest I have, I've been saving up for a special occasion. In fact, I met her while I was at Full Sail Hall of Fame week, and it was one of those moments where we talked afterwards, and I said, you know what? I would love to talk more with you about your experiences and everything that you've gone through in this industry, and she was more than happy to make that happen. So she's actually going to be one of a few from Hall of Fame week and the special guest panels of alumni and people in the industry that I will be bringing to the fan show. So you guys will get to hear it from some of the people that make a living in the world of sports that are not athletes. In fact, some of them aren't even broadcasters. She has a different job, but it's one that I think we would all happily quit our day jobs to have. So that's very exciting. That is coming up a little bit later on. And then also, we have headlines today. We'll get caught up. I know that yesterday was kind of our catch-up episode, but nonetheless, we still have regular episode content and things to get to, like headlines. And Bubba's, stop rubbing against my legs. I have a cat that's like swimming between my legs right now as I'm trying to do this. And it's like, stop it! Stop! Anyway, moving on. As far as the week goes, I do think that it's one of those situations where trying to get caught up while still staying in the regular rhythm of everything. And I do see we've got everybody popping up on the Facebook Live. So hello, everyone watching. Good to see you. And yes, we are missing Fozzie. Fozzie is where is Fozzie? Fozzie's somewhere. Usually, if he's not within eye shot, if that's a term, earshot, eye shot, it means he's up to no good. So hopefully he's behaving himself. That would be great. But yes, Fozzie's around here somewhere. So let's see. Yesterday we talked a lot. We talked about the NFL Mount Rushmore, and we had like 6 very worthy candidates. There's only 4 spots. I think for me, though, what it comes down to is, again, those involved in the birth of what we now know as the NFL. Whether or not they had a hand in the merger itself, it's like when you think of the NFL and when it got started, okay, so Super Bowl era, what names come to mind? And so I think it's really got to be, if John Madden might be the godfather of football because there's a game named after him. If the trophy didn't already have Lombardi's name on it, it probably would have Madden's. And it's crazy because he wasn't. People don't consider him the same level or in the same context as Lombardi. But it's like you can't think of NFL football without thinking of John Madden. It's the craziest thing. He brought us one of the greatest video games of all time. And not him. I mean, the creative team did, but he was the guy on the face of the first one. And it's been one of the greatest, most successful video game franchises of all time. So I think my initial pick, as far as it's got to be Lombardi, it's got to be Bart Starr, and then I think Tom Landry or Roger Staubach are also to be considered as well. But then you also got to think Jim Brown and Walter Payton. So it's tough. You guys are more than welcome to weigh in once again your thoughts on this, because I would like to see if having a sleep on it, we were able to sleep on it and form some opinions and thoughts, if that did any good as far as who you think would be on it. We also talked about the passing of Bart Starr, which one thing I forgot to mention yesterday, and I don't mean to make light of the situation at all. It's not what I'm trying to do here, but it's something that dawned on me. The reason that people are taking the passing of Bart Starr so hard, he was 85. You extend that by 5 or 10 years, I mean, that's like a full life. I think once you hit 70, 75, every day, every year is a gift at that point. Once you hit 70, 75, which I know sounds really grim, on my part, but trust me, as somebody who's seen their grandparents pass away at the age, of their mid to late 70s, depending on how healthy you are and your family history of health, it could get ugly. So 85 is a damn good run. But the reason so many people are having such a hard time with this is because he's the one Packer that everyone could agree on. That wasn't Vince Lombardi. He's the one Packer player that everyone can agree on, that everyone likes. You don't have the West Side Story divide of you are either Team Favre or Team Rodgers. Everybody's Team Bart Starr. So I think that's what a lot of fans are it's really hitting them right here, is he was the one Packer that they could all agree on. And now he's gone. And so he will be forever, and Packers lore and NFL lore, football lore. Bart Starr, one of the greatest of all time, one of the founding fathers of football, which is what we were trying to determine yesterday as far as who would be on the NFL Mount Rushmore. So the founding fathers of the NFL, Lombardi, Starr, Brown, Peyton, Walter Payton, not Manning, obviously, but so we talked about that. And let's see, NBA Finals, we talked if the Raptors had a chance. I almost said the Rattlers. No, the Raptors, if they have a chance. And on that note, let's go ahead and get your guys' thoughts as far as how many games you think this series as a whole will go. Will the Warriors do it in 4, 5, 6? Will the Raptors do it in 7? I don't know. Your guys' thoughts on that. Let's see, looking here, Adam says, I would say NCAA football might be a little more successful than Madden. They don't do that one anymore, do they? Madden is still a franchise that comes out every year, and they put the axe to NCAA, just like arena football. And that was a great game. I wish I would have played that one more. So Madden, one of the greatest video game franchises ever, one of the best in the booth. He kind of did everything. Like, he's less known to some generations. Okay, let me put this carefully. He's almost less known as the head coach of the Raiders than he is for his time in the booth, and of course is the guy that a video game is named after. And people probably stop right there. They don't care how he got himself on a video game, but he had a lot to do with football. But where he is as far as the founding fathers of football, I don't know. That's tough, but he might be there as well. So we had some options. We had some great candidates. Let's see here. Jordan's laughing. he's like, Jordan is very much Team Favre. And I think it's great to talk with guys from Wisconsin about the Packers, because it's not, you'd think they could all get along. But there are certain divides, and Favre and Rodgers is one of them. And it was funny talking to the Wisconsin boys during AFE Team USA and the All-American Bowl about that. Adam says if the Raptors win Game 1, it could go 6. If the Warriors win Game 1, then it's Warriors in 4 or 5. I will agree with you wholeheartedly on that. I think Raptors need to win Game 1. It's at home. It starts the series. If they don't win that one, then it might as well be the Warriors in 4, because when else are you going to win? You're going to win Game 2? What does that matter? Like, if you win Game 1 and you start series 1-0 against the defending champs, you have a little wiggle room, right? Because then you're at home again. You can carry that momentum into Game 2, and you can maybe get them again 2-0, and then you're on the road for 2 and maybe tie up the series. And now we've got 2-2 with 2 more, so now we know we're going to go 6. Wow, that is crazy to think about how important winning Game 1 in the series is as opposed to winning Game 2. So They will probably win 1, but if the Warriors get that first game, I don't see a point in watching the rest of the series play out. We had the Blues and the Bruins for the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. Bruins came back from being down 2-0 to win that first game. I do not know when the next game is. I apologize for not having that in front of me. NFL season is now 99 days away. I didn't say anything yesterday because they've been all about celebrating 100 seasons this year, but yet they act as if nothing pre-Super Bowl era counts at all. So the fact that it's like 100 seasons, there should be a big ass asterisk next to that 100. Just my thoughts. But it did make me want to ask you guys as we get through headlines here, that what is it that you're looking forward to the most with this new NFL season, especially it celebrating 100 seasons. And then the last thing here that we were going to talk about was the Talk is Jericho episode for you wrestling fans, and then there's something in music as well. Let's see. Jordan says, Brady gets a statue way in the back. I will agree. Jordan, I want to know, though, do you agree with me on my stance that Bart Starr is one of the biggest losses for Packer fans because he's the one that you guys could all agree on? I'm curious your thoughts on that. If I hit the nail right on the head, or if there's even, as odd as it sounds, as inconceivable as it could be, that there's people that didn't like Bart Starr, that people thought maybe Favre was better. Like, I'm very curious about this now, since we're talking Green Bay Packers. So let's go ahead. Let's do our thing here on the Fan Show. Let's get through headlines, and then we'll talk a little bit more. Don't want to take up too much time like yesterday because my interview portion with our special guest is a little bit longer than normal, but it is a great interview nonetheless, and we'll go ahead and announce that during headlines as well. Headlines, of course, brought to you by Dynamite Enterprises, where they make amazing stuff. If you guys wanted to host your own Mario Kart tournament, they could probably make you a cool trophy like this. This is the Top Banana Award. Now, they didn't make this one, but I got this while I was at Full Sail Hall of Fame week because I got the best time for that day. I beat the clock. So they could make you a trophy like that if you needed something for your Hall of Fame week or your office party or a get-together or a sibling rivalry, whatever it is. They have marketing, promotional, and really any sort of need that you have as far as if you wanted coasters, if you wanted stickers, if you wanted banners like the Full Sail one behind me. They can do all that stuff. You just got to hit them up. So either go to dynamiteenterprises.com or you can contact Ethan directly and say, hey, didn't see this on your site, or hey, here's my idea, what do you think? And get a quote from him, and that's Ethan at dynamiteenterprises.com. Dynamite Enterprises, they want to customize your world, and I would highly recommend them. They can make you a bomb shirt like this. They didn't make this one. This was a gift from the beautiful people, wonderful people of American Football Events Team USA, and it's even got my name on the shoulder right here. Look at that. I'm official. I'm AFE official, not Fan Show official this time, but it's a good feeling. It warms my heart. And I got this cool hat from Hall of Fame. They can do all this stuff for you at Dynamite Enterprises. Anyway, so headlines. NBA Finals start tomorrow night. Raptors and Warriors. And we're having our debate right now how many games we think this will go if the Raptors even have a chance. NFL season, 99 days away. What you're looking forward to the most. I saw something on here. Justin chimed in on the Facebook Live. He says, the Browns. A lot of people are looking forward to the Browns, and why not? You might not suck this year. I'm sorry. Until further notice, there's still going to be a punchline. And then watch them win 11 or 12 games this year, and now they're not a punchline anymore. However, it does pain me that one of the worst seasons ever as a 49ers fan was the one year that we had a losing season, and we were one of, I think, possibly the only, not one of the only, but the only losses to Johnny Manziel as a Brown, and that hurts, man. That hurts. There's certain things that stick with you as a fan, and that sticks with me. The fact that I'd have to go back and look, but I'm fairly confident that he may have only won one or two games, and I'm not even sure if he started the other game that he was a part of that victory for or not, but the one game that I know he won, that he was the starter and he ended, was against the 49ers, and that hurts. That's some painful stuff right there. But it is what it is. We get to live with that. The XFL has announced all their cities, and so they will have training camps now, or I guess invitationals. That's the proper term for it. XFL will have invitationals now where they will invite players to come and try out for the XFL 2020, and it's going to happen in all the cities that they have their teams in. And so since the last team was announced, now they have their destinations, and so we'll announce, I think, team names and logos, obviously, because they have announced all the coaches and GMs. So they're piecing it together, and the one for the Seattle team is June 22nd, I believe. So I'm going to try to maybe check that out. And let's see, IFL, the league announced its players of the week, and we were way off. Let me just say one thing about their award winners, their weekly award winners, is that I agree with Daquan Neal. I've given it to him like 4 times, though. He was the player of the month for April, and he's been like the first ever 3 or 4 time outstanding player of the week. And the one time that I give it to Ballantyne, who had 5 touchdowns. I mean, anytime a receiver has more than 4, it's like, that's incredible. He had 5 touchdowns, they give it to Neal. So it is what it is. Defense, I don't agree with, but I see it their way. I do on that one. Special teams, I don't agree with at all. Gerard Harrington, and I have nothing against the man. He's been, I think, a nominee of my own awards a few times. But the problem that I have, though, is I'm reading the press release that I get each week when they announce who their players of the week are, and they're including everything that he did on offense. It's like, okay, but you named him the special teams player of the week. I'm not taking anything away that he did on the offense, but it's like when I look at who my candidates are, which is it's either a kicker or a kick returner. It's not somebody who played 90% of the snaps on offense and had 1 kick return that went back for a touchdown. That's not how my awards work. It's your body of work within that part of the game. That one single portion, either offense, defense, or special teams. And so that's why if a kicker goes perfect, then the kicker usually ends up winning it. And then, of course, when it comes to the kick returner, they have to have a really good game. So for me, I don't see how they picked him, because they listed the stuff he did on special teams, which was good, but not as good as Gibbs. And then they also listed all the stuff that he did for the offense, which I think it's irrelevant for the special teams award. But that's just me. Let's see what other questions we have here. Adam says, still waiting for the XFL to release their team names, colors, and logos. Got to choose between Team Dallas and Team Washington. And yet nobody complained about the IFL's players of the week. Of course they didn't. Of course they didn't. Justin says, I played for AFE. Coach G is the man. Thank you for the comment on the shirt. So I think for me, it's just a matter of how you look at things. They've given the award to a player who had like one pivotal moment in a game, despite the fact that they otherwise had a very average performance. And that's fine. That's their award. My awards are my award. And so I have my own criteria, and that's what I think a lot of people misunderstand is they look at who the IFL picks as theirs, and they look at mine, and if they're not the same, they're just like, well, what the hell? Do you know what you're talking about? Yeah, I do know what I'm talking about. And here's my criteria right here. Do they know what they're talking about? Because it just sometimes I wonder. But, whatever. And then finally, Riot Fest was announced. Blink-182 will be there, Taking Back Sunday, Dashboard Confessional, The Violent Femmes. I mean, it's a great lineup. Probably one of the best lineups that they've had since, I think, 2009, when Blink-182 and the Foo Fighters were headlining together, which I'm still mad I didn't make it to that one. So that's September, I think, 13th through the 14th at Chicago. It's going to be a great thing. That's our music headline for you. So if you're a fan of great rock and roll, great punk rock, and you're in the Chicago area, go to this. A bucket list festival for sure. Definitely makes up for not having Warped Tour anymore. And then our guest is going to be Angela Granger, who was part of the panel for Full Sail Hall of Fame week, talking about their panel was sports marketing and the world today. She's a graduate. She wanted to give us some insight on, how the world is as far as sports and sports marketing. I attended because it was a sports one, and we only had like 3 events to choose from out of like the 85 different events that they had for animation and game design and music production. Like we had 3, and everybody else had like 12 they could choose from. So I went to the ones that said sports in the title, and I thought they were really good. So we talked about her role at Fanatics, the different athletes she's worked with, what she does there, and, women in the industry, which very insightful stuff. And then Talk is Jericho. Dean Ambrose, or as you may know him now, John Moxley, was his special guest this week, and probably one of the most downloaded and clicked on podcasts this year right there. And I tell you, it does not disappoint. So for those of you waiting until after the episode, after this to go and check that out, you will not be disappointed at all. I promise you that. I will stand by that. I listened to the episode start to finish, and it was fantastic. And you only believe what he says about WWE and creative because you know that that's how Vince McMahon probably is. I'll say that right now, is that everything he says is believable. It doesn't sound like some disgruntled former employee, simply because it's Vince McMahon. And us as wrestling fans, we know a little bit about the way that his mind works. So it was entertaining, to say the least. Let's see here. Anybody else have some things they're excited about for the NFL this season or the XFL? Hey, James, good to see you checking in here. Let's see. Stanley Cup Finals Game 2 is tonight. Thank you, Adam. I'd like to see the Blues win. I'm a Blues fan. I say that loosely. I just like their logo. I think they've got one of the best logos in sports. As a former musician, though, my opinion is a little biased, but I think that's a great matchup. The Blues and the Bruins really is. Bruins have a strong following, so do the Blues. And it's kind of what the people of St. Louis have to look forward to now after Kroenke went and said, hey, the Rams are going back home to L.A. Well, they won a Super Bowl here in St. Louis. Don't you think we should get them? No, the money's not here. Like that's probably how that conversation went. And let's see here. I didn't get a response back from Jordan, so I'm a little sad, though. But I'll have to hit him up to see if I'm right in my Bart Starr feelings. And let's see. James asked, how's it going? It's going good, James. Good to see you. Very excited for more IFL this week. Obviously, we only have a few games left. It's crazy to think that it feels like just yesterday I was doing my first top 10, not knowing how it was going to be received. And then people had to go and try to copy the top 10. And now they no longer do a top 10 because you can't compete with the big dog. Okay? You just can't. The champ is here. So sorry, that was bad. Oh, but I think that about does it for everything that I wanted to get through this first portion. So please, I encourage you, click the link, hop over to Fozzie's running around. Click the link, hop over to Spreaker, and listen to our interview with Angela Granger. Very insightful. A man or woman in the industry thinking about being in the industry in some way, shape, or form. It is a great conversation. So I'm not going to stall or delay any further. Here we go. My one-on-one with Ms. Angela. All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining me now, a very special treat. Fresh off my trip to Full Sail University, we have an alumni and a team member of Fanatics for player relations, and she's going to tell us a little bit more detail about it and all about it. It is Angela Granger. Welcome to the program. How you doing?
I'm good. How's it going? It's good to be here.
It's going great. I got to say, your panel was very entertaining. Not a whole lot of sports panels going on during Hall of Fame week, which I'm realizing, quickly realized that it was a big deal. But what year did you graduate from Full Sail?
2013, back in the day.
The day.
I was part of the very first online program for sports marketing and media.
Yeah, it seems like, so here's a funny thing that I noticed that I pointed out to some of the guys, the instructors that I had a chance to meet in person and talk to more from the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting, which is one of their brand new programs. I said, the fireworks are going off for the Hall of Fame closing ceremonies, and I said, what's funny is that for the first time ever, the guys that are in sports, like what normally would be the jocks, even though we're obviously not. Maybe we're former jocks, but I said we're the outcasts at a school like this.
Yeah.
Like we're at a table by ourselves here, and that is so beautifully weird because I don't have a problem with it. In fact, I love it because it shows you just how unique and different that school is. But I said it's been really weird to see the guys that are just sort of that they stand out, and not necessarily like in a positive or a negative way, are all the guys from the sports department, whether it's marketing or sportscasting. And he's like, yeah, it's been kind of an adjustment for us because we're not used to it either.
Right. We're definitely the black sheep of the whole campus. It's like, because I don't know, even any of the business ones too, kind of stand out. You're like, oh, you're business, you're not gaming or whatever. You're like, oh, these are the business type, like.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then you had the inductees, and I'm sitting there watching, induction after induction, and you have a guy up there with a hat, a T-shirt, and a sport jacket. You have another guy who's got his hat on backwards, and then you have, out of all of them, the one that looked actually dressed for being inducted into some kind of Hall of Fame, dressed up, suit, tie, and everything, was the one guy from the world of sports, and that was Mike Benford from the Atlanta Falcons. So
right. He's like, what is going on around me?
But
I know I brought 2 outfits to my panel because I didn't know which way we were going. So I brought like my more like low key sporty outfit, and then I had like a really fancy outfit, and of course I ended up wearing my sporty outfit because I was like, okay, this is what we're doing, but I had to be prepared for either way, you just never know.
Yeah, your panel was really funny because if you go down the line, it's like, okay, so you were dressed like you were the representative of a company being sent to be on this panel, and then you
had my
had
Fanatics shirt on. Yeah.
Then you have Steve, who was just dressed super casual, and then Joe, he was dressed like he was the intern that got picked, that drew the short straw to go to do this panel. And then, what was it? Dylan was the 4th one who looked like he just
and
woke
Dylan was
up.
definitely the business owner, but yet like entrepreneur doing it on my own. And, that's what he was.
That's totally true.
Right, but I'm only 23, so
Yeah, you guys were a collection of characters, but man, talk about some stories and some great advice. I really loved yours, and what I wanted to start this off with, really, and get into the meat of it, is something that you said really resonated with me, and that was, you were answering the question of a young woman in attendance asking about the difficulties that women face getting into the industry, which I feel like we're breaking a lot of molds and glass ceilings as we, progress in the industry of sports. But, for you to say what you did and end it with, gentlemen, be supportive of these women because they're, more important than you realize, and it's that support that goes both ways that'll make a huge difference. And my wife and I, we're a team, and she doesn't even realize it, because in my absence, while I was down in Orlando at Full Sail, there's a game up here that I missed that I'm normally the voice for on PA, Spokane's semi-pro team, the Spokane Wolfpack. And when I told them that I was going to be gone, they understood, but then they said, okay, well, who's going to replace you? And I said, I have an idea. Go with me on this, but I'll let you know. And they said, okay. And then they finally said, all right, so who is it? I said, my wife. There is no one more qualified for this. She's with me at all the games. She's pretty much my spotter. And then she knows the game. She knows the players. She knows the team. And she's got some mic skills because we used to host karaoke together. And it took some convincing of me to her, but we have this support system that it's like, she does hair. She's a salon manager and a stylist, and so she's not going to go, I'd love to go and do PA. It's more of like, are you sure
right.
that you want me to do this? And I said, you're representing the family name and the brand. There's no one that I trust to do that better than you. And it's just that support that you talked about that it really is a difference maker.
Yeah. It definitely is, and it for me, it's definitely about the support. And like I had mentioned in the panel, I think one of the biggest things is standing up for the women when you see it happen. So yes. I believe that a lot of change comes in levels and in cycles, and I think right now the cycle and level that we're in is awareness. Like more women are standing up, more women are vocalizing what's happening, and so we're kind of in the awareness step, which is the first, one of the first steps, and we're slowly moving into the change, but what is good is when, if a man sees it happening, then to say something, instead of just letting it happen. One of the other gentlemen that was in the audience asked a question about getting ahead and like, what if my boss is a woman and I, but I want her job, because I want to grow. His delivery was a little off, but we spoke afterwards, and we spoke afterwards and made some clarifications and stuff, and it was okay. Often I feel like men that get really excited, like about this topic kind of misspeak and, you can't hear their heart. So a lot of times it takes a lot of conversation, which is why you can't just have one conversation and call it dead, like if you don't like what's being said. But it's one of those things where when I said to him, I want you to deserve the job more than me or more than the woman, you know, like not because you're a man, but because of your qualifications. And I said, now let's, you know, hypothetically speaking, let's say that you don't deserve the job as much and you can tell, but they're willing to promote you, then what? You know, what do you say? And he, you know, obviously he said the right thing, like, I'm going to say something, but that is a lot easier said than done when it's like, when it's coming to, I'm offering you this salary and this job, but you can tell that this person deserves it way better than you. And I'm not even saying about a promotion over some, like over your boss or something, but just an equal promotion. You know, there's two people qualified for a job, and there's a man and there's a woman, and you can tell that the woman is even more qualified, but the man is going to get it, you know. And so there's just things about having the men be our support there, you know, when they know good and well what's going on, when they can see it, or, you know, and that's even just in promotion and stuff, but when it's like harassment in the workplace, you know, to be able to have like somebody else come alongside of us and a man come alongside of us that is just a coworker, you know, and say, hey, that's not appropriate. Or you pull that man aside and say, you need to stop doing it, because even though she's laughing, it's not funny, you know, like it. And that's the thing, is sometimes we just don't want to make an entire room awkward, because if I said every time, if I pointed it out every time a man like made a joke that he shouldn't make a joke about, I would now not be liked, because I'd be taking things too seriously or literal or whatever, quote unquote, you know, whatever whatever makes them feel like their joke was funny, you know? And so it's like, that's, I mean, you're going to defend yourself no matter what, you know. There's never like a, you know what, you're right, I'm really sorry, I shouldn't have said that, you know, like right in front of everybody. You're not going to, like, if anything, they'll come to you on the side and say that after they've defended themselves in public, you know. And so, but right now, I do believe that we're in way more of an awareness, like there's a way more awareness that is going two ways, you know. Sometimes there's the people that are like, well, now women are just speaking up because it's a thing, you know, after Me Too or whatever, you know, like, oh, now you were raped, or now you were whatever, you know what I mean? Like, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, these girls want to come out, but it's 2 years later, you know, but they don't know what it's like, you know, like, unless you've ever been in that situation, you can't tell someone how to grieve. You can't tell someone when it's time to come out or when they're strong, you know. And so, but now it's just, I think it's good, because the fact that men in the workplace are realizing they're not going to get away with it as much, because there's more women standing up. And when one woman stands up, it makes other women stronger to stand up, you know, and gives them just something to stand for, knowing that there's somebody else that understands what they've gone through. So, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely, in this sports world, this is a hard thing. It is. I've been there. I've done that. Like, I've been propositioned. There's been situations that I've had to say no to, and I've then stopped advancing as fast as I was advancing before. We'll say that. And it's like, and that is not cool, because somebody's, you know, because somebody feels rejection, or they feel like I'm not going to give it. The sad part is, and this is where women have to come together, is that the next woman could say yes, you know, and so therefore she's going to keep advancing, you know, and that's what dampers it. That's what takes it down the whole notch, and that's just the hard part to deal with.
Yeah, and what makes it even more difficult is that in this program, in this industry, really, we're not taught, we're told, you know, it's not something that they want us to, you know, learn, so to speak, but realize, and that is the sports industry, especially from a networking and then, of course, the advancement side of things, is very cutthroat. It's very, there's no loyalty anymore, and there's no one that's going to look out for you but you. And so it is tough to think what you would actually do in certain situations. You talk about the hypotheticals, you know, would you stand up for this woman, or would you take that opportunity because you know that, you know, no one's going to look out for you but you, and it's going to be those gut check moments. And I think that you raising awareness and banding us together is a huge step in the right direction for sure. And I definitely wanted to thank you for your insight on the panel and everything that you had to say. It was very refreshing in my mind, so thank you for that. What is a day, what's your official title at Fanatics, and what's a day in the life of Angela Granger like?
Oh, well, I work on the athlete relations team. We're a team of 7 people, and with Fanatics, so Fanatics Authentics is the memorabilia part of Fanatics. So Fanatics runs NHL shop, NFL shop, NBA shop, MLS shop, esports, like we run all of that. So, you can go online. It's mostly e-commerce, so a lot of people, brick and mortar is not something they're used to, like, having with Fanatics. They do in fan shops and arenas and just different sports complexes around the nation, but mostly it is just e-commerce. So Fanatics Authentics was bought, I don't know the exact years, but probably like a few years ago. It's been around for a little while. But so now it is, what they do is they take all of, like, the jerseys and the balls and all the stuff that you can buy online, and they take it out and they get it autographed by the players, and then they bring it in and they sell it on Fanatics, fanaticsauthentics.com or sportsmemorabilia.com. So SportsMem is owned by Fanatics, and so there's also sportsmemorabilia.com that runs out of our facilities too. But my job is basically calling event spaces all the time, all over the nation. We are currently doing a Cubs event, and we have NBA all the time. We are, like, on hold on if wins right now. One of the big things I'm working on is an if win for the Stanley Cup. So I'm in contact with a hotel in Boston as well as St. Louis, and so it's like we kind of have to do these contracts with them that are, like, not a signed contract, but it's, you don't really realize what goes into it. So come the finals, we have to prepare for two major signings, but only do one of them. So we're ordering products, we're getting everything ready to go or ready to order and to be shipped overnight. But it's like, no, even if it's only one event you do, you still are preparing for two large-scale events that are happening on this, like, within the same day. It just depends on where. So that's a lot, to have, like, an entire folder for St. Louis, an entire folder for Boston, and one of those folders is going to be completely useless, Like, you put all this time and energy into it, but it's not going to happen, It's, of course, both hotels are like, it's going to be us, it's going to be us, it's going to be us, But it's, so right now that's a really big thing, but even while that's going on, we have a ton of other signings that are going on. We do a lot of NHL. We do a lot of baseball. I've, gotten to know hockey and baseball a lot more than I ever thought I would, through this job. And then we send the team out. So there's 6 out of 7 of us are located in Miramar, Florida, and then we have one guy on our team that does a lot of the contracts with the agents and negotiates contracts with the agents, and he's in the Northeast. He stays, like, in the Philadelphia area, which is good to have him there because we do a lot of signings and a lot of players up there, so he's really quick to be able to just, like, hop on a train and go. So it's nice to have him up there. But, so we are constantly traveling. I don't do as much of the traveling because we kind of need a boots on the ground here for when things come up. But I do some traveling. I've done some of the esports signings, actually, which is insane. Our esports stuff flies off the shelf. Like, these kids buy this stuff by the boatload. Like, we can't keep it on the shelves, and so that's kind of mind-blowing to me because I'm just wondering where I went wrong in life, that I could have just played games and gotten paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, but I guess that's for another podcast. That is why wholesale is still going on because esports is insanely popular, even if it's not to me, but it's crazy. So we do a lot of that. Yeah, I get to meet a lot of the players, and when I go to the signings or when they're around, we just had Dwayne Wade in the office. We've had, we had Conor McGregor came in. We had Edelman was in there. We like to get them in our offices because our warehouse and our offices are actually pretty expansive and pretty cool to look at. We have I think it's like over 100,000 square feet warehouse where we house all of our stuff, all of the signed. It ships out of our warehouse. And like a whole half of our warehouse is unsigned stuff, and then the other half is the signed stuff. And so we are picking from the unsigned stuff to put together, and we inventory it. So people think that stuff just show up at a signing and you just sign it and it's good, but there's such a crazy process from the branding and marketing team to building SKUs to, we are the last people it hits. Our team is the last people it hits. So we get a mix that says, okay, you're going to sign 100 basketballs and 50 jerseys, and it's going to have these inscriptions and, all this stuff. So we just have like one mix that says this is what we're going to do, and then my team is in charge of putting together the transfers, pulling all the product, verifying it, shipping it to where it's supposed to go, getting it there on time, and then making sure all the right pins are used, it's signed in the right place, the inscriptions are spelled right.
Wow.
There's just like a lot there's a lot that goes into it. And believe me, these guys cannot spell sometimes, or they just get going and they forget to write a word, and so we have to like pull them back in, reel them in, and be like, slow down, guys, like, or can you sign it? Because if someone's paying that much money for like something, they're gonna want it signed right. So it's like, okay, this is signed. We have paint pens, like it's not just a Sharpie. We have like paint pens, Sharpies. Silver Sharpies are the demise of my life. Let me tell you, silver Sharpies, you never know.
Wow.
So when silver Sharpies are just gonna not work anymore. But like,
that's too funny.
So there's a lot that goes into it. When you go and you get something autographed, like you're at the game and you just have a Sharpie, like know that a Sharpie does not sign a basketball very well at all. You are much rather should get a paint pen because it'll get into those little grooves and nicks and crannies that a Sharpie won't get into. So there's a lot that goes into it, but we bring out some really good products. So
yeah, I'm taking notes on all this. I was like, okay, so no Sharpies for basketballs, but
no or footballs, like the Prisma, silver Prisma. Remember silver Prisma? That's
silver
the best
Prisma.
For footballs and basketballs. Yes.
Gotcha.
Silver Prisma.
So your Conor McGregor story was hilarious, but is there anyone when you got into this that still left you like starstruck? Like you were like, oh my god, like you're fangirling out, or you're trying, not to, but it's like it's still your job.
Man, I guess I haven't met that person yet. Like it had, like that's gonna be like a Michael Jordan or something. Like even because it was really, really cool to meet Dwayne Wade, to be honest, like to have him come in, because he's just a legend, like even though he didn't get, like, people don't think he'll be Hall of Fame or, all that stuff. He just really is an amazing face to basketball, and he's just done a lot for the community and whatnot. So I think it was really cool once I had been in Miami for a while and then to see how much he had done for Miami and stuff, like to meet him was really cool. Let me think, who else have I met that? Gosh, I mean, we're doing C.J. McCollum coming up in C.J. McCollum, and I'm a big Blazer fan, so it would be cool to meet C.J. But he'll be up in New York, so I don't know. But I haven't yet. It's going to be one of those things where there's a few. Being in the sports industry for so long, it's like people ask me, what's your favorite football team? And I'm like, man, I just don't even have any loyalties anymore. Like not in a bad way, not in a like I hate it or whatever, but more in a way of like I'm way more of a player fan, like not even a fan, but like I just want everyone to succeed, So it's definitely one of those things where I just want these people to make it, and they become way more friends than fans, become more friends than fans, and that's just kind of what it is. All these players are really looking for in their families is just people to treat them normally, and not ask for anything, and just to be a real friend, because it's hard to find non-fake friends when you have money and when you have fame and when you have power, and so therefore for me, I'm just kind of like, I probably know them in my head, but can't even think of it because I don't think of them that way anymore. They just become really close, and I think they feel the real in me too, to where that's not what I'm looking for, and so really quickly you become friends because people can pick that up, and it's just players have been doing this a long time, and so they are very discerning to who is out to feed off of them and who is out to feed them. To be honest.
Yeah,
and that's just how it is.
I can definitely relate to that because my coverage of the Indoor Football League, Spokane had a team and then they folded, and of course I was a fan of theirs. They kind of helped me get my foot in the door for covering this league, but a bunch of fans from around the league asked me, they're like, so who's going to be your team now? And I said, honestly, like, everybody, because one, I didn't want to appear to be biased one way or the other, but it was just the fact that I had gotten to know so many players, and what's really special about this league is that you have so many young players that maybe got hurt at the wrong time or maybe just missed their window a little bit, and they're fighting so hard to get another shot or make it to that next level. So you're really becoming like their biggest fan, and they're all over the place and working with one team and then another team. So yeah, I completely understand and respect that you're a fan of the player, not the team now.
Yeah, and it's just wanting to see everybody succeed. There's a lot going on in the NFL too right now that I feel like people are kind of like, more apprehensive
Yeah.
of the NFL. I think even people playing in the NFL are more apprehensive of the NFL, you know, so I was really bummed to see the AAF go down, you know, because they were just doing a lot of things right, you know, with their kickoffs and their, you know, like just no extra points, you know, like all this stuff that the NFL isn't willing to really listen to or do, you know, so it was, I'm sad that all happened, but there's hopefully a documentary that will be coming out to let everybody know what really happened in the AAF.
Yeah, I think Steve said he was working on that, and I'm excited to talk to him about it.
That. I am so excited for that. Like, I want to help him out as much as I can, if I can, to get him some people to talk to and stuff. So, but yeah, it's fandom's kind of weird right now.
So what's the future hold for you? Because you were one hell of a motivational speaker, if that's you know, in your avenue.
All right, Richard. To be completely honest, going up to Full Sail and talking on that panel was like really motivating for me. Like, if there was anybody that was motivated, it was me. I've been doing a lot of consideration, a lot of thinking about what is in my future. As you know, working for the man, quote unquote, has been something I've been doing for a really long time. I mentioned in my panel that I still actually currently work for Southwest Airlines, and I just give away all my shifts. You know, the Southwest Airlines is super awesome in the fact that as long as your shifts are covered and you're, you know, paying what you need to pay for insurance and all that stuff, like, they're good to go.
Wow.
So I work just enough shifts and use vacation and PTO and stuff to cover that, so I'm able to use those benefits. And I'm really thinking about a lot of different things. I've been told numerous times by numerous mentors and people that have, you know, talked to me and seen me work, and even a lot of the athletes, that I should go out on my own and do some different management type stuff. Ideally, I would work in like charities and nonprofits. But throw big events for those charities and nonprofits, fundraising events and that kind of stuff. I really like to help people. And being up there on that panel and being able to talk and share my heart and let people come share their heart with me, that was really motivating to me. You know, seeing other people get excited makes me excited. You know, so when you find yourself doing stuff that doesn't make you excited, you know, it's like, why are we doing this? You know, but people would think I was crazy to lay down, and I would think I was crazy. That's why I haven't done it yet. You know, like to lay down a lot of what I've done, you know, and people are like, oh, it's so hard to get a job, like, within the industry where you're getting paid to be in the industry, which is true, but people also think because all the money that these players get and everything, that's what everybody in the business industry is getting, and it's just not.
Yeah.
It's like we're getting the bare minimum, you know, and so you know, I've worked for teams, you know, NFL teams and stuff, and I worked for NFL teams for free doing internships, and then I've worked where I've gotten paid, but just not much, you know, because no matter what, it's like they want you to think that, like, you should just feel honored just to, like, work for this team and get a paycheck that has, like, an NFL logo on it, you know, and that is just not the case. You know, I need to pay my bills, you know, so, but I really would like to be more involved in a lot of events that raise awareness and events that raise money and whatnot for foundations, and what ideally it would be for players' foundations. You know, like, if a player has his own personal foundation or nonprofit and he's trying to, you know, throw a football camp or something like that, I would totally do that. I can do that. I know enough about sports and the business and all that kind of stuff that I can have the player knowing how to coach, and then I can be doing all the stuff on the back end, you know, throwing these events. So I'm looking into it. It's definitely something it's great to be with Southwest, because Southwest actually pays really well, has great benefits, and I can always just go back to Southwest, you know. And I can work like a bunch of hours and then take 3 weeks to month and a half, as long as I want, to be honest, you know, as long as everyone picks up my shifts, you know. But it's so far it hasn't been a problem, because there's a lot of hungry people at Southwest. Like, they really like to work, so like that helps me out. Help me help you, help me, you know. So but yeah, so I would hope that in the future I'm doing something that really just makes not only me come alive, but makes me come alive through making others come alive. And that's really my goal in life, is to just make others come alive.
I think you will. I think you were, like I said, very refreshing, very inspiring there. And, I'm sure that this is like part one of a several-part series that you and I have conversations like this, because it's been, I've enjoyed every minute of it, and I'm sorry to take up more time than I said that I needed from you, but I didn't want to stop you. You were on a roll, man, and, I was feeling it.
This has been awesome.
I was feeling it.
This is awesome. This is great. I would love to be part of a multiple part series, because that means I've got more parts coming up, I've got more things to talk about and more things are going to happen. So that's exciting. Well,
we will definitely make that happen. I thank you so much for your time. And just as a side note, I don't know how far back your contacts go there. I'm a huge Niners fan. Steve Young, Patrick Willis were my guys. So if you ever happen to find one of those special autograph pens around them, just keep me in mind.
Definitely. I will definitely keep you in mind for that.
All right. Well, she is Angela Granger. She works at Fanatics. She sometimes works Southwest, but she is a inspiring and motivational woman in this industry we call sports and breaking glass ceilings. So thank you so very much for your time. It's been a real treat.
Yeah, for sure. And I thank you. You guys can follow me, the Angie G. ANGIEG, on basically everything.
Basically everything.
On basically everything.
All right. Well, thank you so much again. I'll let you go ahead and hit the gym and work those muscles from walking the campus all over the place. But enjoy your week, and we'll talk again real soon.
All right. It was great talking to you.
You as well. Thank you. And one more big thank you to Angela. Like I said, very refreshing conversation. I was just so in it. Those conversations you have where you tell them, she asks, how long you want to talk for. I said, give me 10, 15 minutes at least, solid 10 to 15 minutes of good stuff. And we ended up talking for, close to a half hour. So it's those conversations that you don't expect to go as well as they do that are really something special, and that conversation really was something special. So obviously we're over our usual time here. I've been trying to keep these between 45 and 50 minutes just to make sure that we don't lose your guys' interest. I certainly hope we didn't. I thought the show started out great, and the conversation with Angela was awesome. Hope you guys learned something, and maybe you're inspired to go out there and do something different. But that will do it for our Wednesday edition of The Fan Show. We've got one more in The Fan Show week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Tomorrow's Thursday, our preview day, and we will have another special guest, and we will have previews of all the action coming up that weekend. Don't forget to give us a like, follow, and a listen on all the different platforms and the ways that you can. Facebook, facebook.com/fanshowofficial. Twitter is at fanshowofficial, and the Instagram is The Fan Show. And then you can also follow my personal Twitter page that I've been more active on, which is at RealRichardT. And if you want to listen, if you can't listen live, if you can't tune in Facebook Live or Spreaker while we broadcast live, you're certainly welcome to subscribe and download. That is Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and of course Spreaker.com. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners, and remember, of course, it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night, folks.
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his own player's blood? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the Fan Show.